guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tips and tricks that I've learned when I traveled to Paris alone. So if you're interested, do keep on watching. So today's video is going to be a slightly different one. I thought I'll sit down with you and share with you some of the tips and tricks that I've learned when I traveled to Paris on my own. I feel like this video has been a long time coming because I've been wanting to do this video ever since I went to Paris on my solo trip in 2022, and now it's already 2024, so it's been a really long time, but I thought I'll finally sit down and share with you some of the tips and tricks that I have when I travel alone to Paris. Not just to Paris, but I feel like some of the tips here you can apply to your trips, especially solo trips anywhere around the world as well. But I thought I'll just zoom into Paris specifically. So just to start things off, I've been to Paris I think 4 times in my life right now. I was there in 2014, which was like 10 years ago. It was a decade ago. Oh my god. I think I went there because I broke up with my ex-boyfriend that time, and I just really wanted to just do like a solo YOLO trip kind of thing. So I went to London actually that trip, and then I went to Paris with a friend, but we were just separately doing our own things because he has, you know, done all the like the touristy things and all that already. So I didn't really want to drag him into like going to the Louvre with me or going to the catacombs. So I really enjoyed, you know, like going to the museums myself and doing all these touristy things myself as well. So that was in 2014, which was a really long time ago. And then subsequently, I think I went back to Paris in 2018 as well, end of 2018. Ironically, I went there and I broke up with a boyfriend of mine as well. So I feel like somehow Paris is like, not, I wouldn't say it's cursed in my head, but I don't know why these things keep happening. But I really adore Paris. I'm not going to like spoil the Paris dream for every one of you. I really adore the city and I really like it a lot. This is just my life that's happening there. So on this trip, I also went to London, and then we did like a trip to Paris to go back to London to fly out. So I'm going to touch on that later as well. And then in 2022, which was after COVID, I did a massive solo trip to France. So not just to Paris, I went to Paris, and then I think I went to just all around France. I went to visit a friend who stays in, oh my god, I totally forgot where she stays, like Normandy, somewhere in Normandy. And then we went to like day trip around as well. And then I went down to the south of France to Avignon, and then I went to Lyon, and then I went back to Paris. So it's like a whole like France trip. I think I was traveling about like 2 to 3 weeks as well, alone. So that was like a big deal. I really did a lot of planning for that trip because like I need to plan my trips to feel secure, especially when you're traveling alone. So that was the next trip. And then the final trip was actually last year when I went to Tomorrowland. We went to Tomorrowland, and then we went to Amsterdam, so Netherlands, and then we went down towards Paris. So we flew out of Paris from there because I wanted to do some shopping. My friend wanted to do some shopping. Actually, I think she just wanted to see me shop, so it was really strange. We flew out there. So that was the last trip that I went to Paris as well. So a lot of the links that I'm going to link it in the description box down below, including the hotels that I stayed at, the places that I went to, or the places that I would recommend to go to, like touristy places, because I do have quite a lot of recommendations, not just the touristy aspects of it, but a lot of the, you know, like arty side. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you will know that I'm actually an art major student, and I took art elective back in school. So when I was in Paris in 2014, like when I finally went to the Louvre, I went to Orangerie, I went to d'Orsay, and I see all these paintings that I've been like studying about throughout my entire school life. And when I say entire school life, it was from Sec 1, secondary 1, all the way to J2, which was like a total of like 6 years. I was just doing like art history. It was so amazing, especially when you see something come to life, when you've just been like looking at an image of it and studying like an image of it that's printed on paper like that. It was really like wondrous. I have no other words for it. It was magnificent because some of the paintings that you thought were really tiny turned out to be massive. They were so massive, and it's like a different scale of things. So before I go off tangent, I just wanted to let you know that there are a lot of art museums in Paris, and if you're like an art buff, you will totally enjoy your time there, because I know of some of my friends who have not gone to Paris until like my age right now, and it was like an eye-opening experience for them, because I've been telling people, please just go and see it for your true self, because it is like an experience on its own. So digressing. So back to Paris. Of all the times that I've visited Paris, 2 times I went in November, once in August and once in like mid-May and early June. The mid-May, early June one was actually my solo trip to Paris. If you ask me, I wouldn't recommend you going there because it's like in the middle of summer. It was so hot, and I actually went there when it was like sort of still COVID, like people were still wearing masks, but it was very uncomfortable to wear a mask. Wear your shades because it's really shiny. It's not for like vanity's sake. It was really scorching. I needed to have shades on my eyes. It was just like hard to breathe. So I would say that, I mean, now we don't really have to wear masks anymore, but it was really hot. I was kind of like regretting not bringing a portable fan with me because it was so hot, and I was traveling alone, so I had to carry all these things with me. So I didn't have like someone to carry or like share the carrying of stuff. So it was really hot. So something to bear in mind. I wouldn't recommend you go in like May or June. And I always try to avoid school holidays as much as possible, simply because I do not have kids and I don't want to travel with kids. So, or like during school holiday when all the kids are traveling, you know. So I will always avoid June holidays. I will always avoid December holidays as well, because those are the period where people are just traveling. I just refuse to travel during like these like high peak periods, because they tend to be more expensive as well. So I wouldn't suggest that. I would say that the best timings that I've gone is definitely November, because the weather is really good. It's not quite winter yet. I would suggest you go late November, so that the markets, like the Christmas markets, are hopefully open earlier, and you can kind of like enjoy that in Paris as well, because it's really like a whole vibe. I think when I went in 2014, I can't remember when, I think 2014, I went to Champs-Élysées, and the whole stretch during Christmas was just turned into like a Christmas market. It was really like a sight to behold, and you have all these like little stores and all that. I think I actually bought like a souvenir. I'm going to show you. So I actually bought this postcard in 2014 in Paris from like one of those like street stores on the Christmas market. It just says Paris, but here's like stamped flowers, like stamped dried flowers on it, and I think it was like so pretty. I love it so much. I have it on my stand ever since. I'm just gonna put it here before I break it. So you can definitely enjoy the vibe over there if you are there like during the Christmas season, but that's November. I just think that weather wise it's really great. If not, when I went in August, it was not too bad as well. It was a little bit rainy. There are a few days that were raining, but other than that, I think the weather was not too bad as well, you know, like not hot. So I would say maybe September you go will be good as well. Try to avoid the, you know, like peak period or anything. Oh, those are always my no-goes. Obviously this year there are Olympics in Paris. I know of actually a few people who are going to Paris for the Olympic season. I'm not sure how it's going to be like. Hopefully if you're going, you have booked your hotel room like way in advance, because my friend told me that she booked her hotel last year in July, like July 2023, for a July 2024 trip. So I'm like, oh my god. So I think props to her, because like that is like massive planning in advance. But I suppose you have to, because it's Olympic season. A lot of the hotels will have been snapped up and all the expensive hotels are like left, so you don't want that as well. So Olympic season this year is 26 July to 11 August. So I think prior to July, a lot, maybe like at this point of time during June, a lot of people are already there, so it's going to be really crowded. But I've seen like some structure, like they have revamped the place apparently, you know, like taken steps to like do renovation works to the metro system and all that as well. So I think the next time when I go, it will be a bit newer. I'm not sure. So yes, I know a lot of you are watching this because you like the shopping videos and you like to shop. So one thing to know is that Paris does 2 sale seasons every year. There is the summer sale and then there's the winter sale, and I have the dates for you on hand already. Obviously the winter sale has passed and it's between 10th of Jan to 6th of Feb this year. So I would say that most of the winter sales tend to be in January, like mid of Jan. So I think January is actually quite a good time to go as well if you want to hit the sales, because I think some of the sales are like 30 to 70% off. You can get the items from like Dior, Chanel. I'm not sure about LV and all that, but a lot of the places do have sales going on. So if you want to hit it up during the sale season, then this is it. The next one, which is for the summer sale, is 26th of June to 23rd of July. So sometime just slightly before the Olympic season this year. But I mean, if you're not going this year, then this information can be for you like next year as well. So definitely try to go during the sale period, or if you're there during the sale period, definitely make use of the sale season as well, because you can save quite a great deal of it. I think I actually bought a pair of like sunglasses from Dior for like 40 or 50% off, which was amazing because it was such a steal. So in terms of transportation wise, I would say that most of the times when I went, it's always to travel like round trip to London, and then I always do like a 2-day or 3-day trip to Paris, and then I obviously go back to London to fly out. So you just need to be wary about the transport in and out of like London. But if you are coming in directly from like CDG, you will have to take like either a train or a taxi into Paris city once you have cleared customs. Customs at CDG can be quite a nightmare, because the last time when I went there and I touched down in CDG, it was like the earliest flight. It was like I think an 8 AM touchdown or something like that. There were literally only 2 people, you know, like checking customs out of a whole, I think like a few airplanes landed around that time. So the whole place was just like a massive queue. I had to queue about like an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get through customs. So I think definitely bear that in mind if you're traveling in via CDG. So if you have like lunch plans, I almost didn't make it for my lunch plan I think, but luckily I had some sort of foresight and I didn't make it too early for my lunch booking on that day. I remember I went to Pink Mama. I would be so devastated if I were to miss that lunch appointment. So luckily I didn't have to miss that. So if you want to take a taxi in from CDG to Paris Center, it is now like a fixed rate. Depending on which arrondissement you are going to, it's either 53 euros or 58 euros. This was back in 2022. I'm not sure if the prices have changed, but you know, it's now a fixed rate. It didn't used to be a fixed rate. It was like via meter, and because when I was going in there was like a massive jam, I decided to take a taxi in because I was on my own. I didn't really want to figure out the train system on my own with all the luggage, so I just took a taxi in. And also because I thought I was going to like miss my Pink Mama date, so I better take a taxi in. So I did, and the taxi driver was just telling me that it didn't used to be a fixed rate, it used to be like via meter. So if I went via meter and there was such a massive jam, it would have costed about like 100 euros or so. So I'm quite glad that they changed that system and make it a fixed rate. So if you're sharing the cab with like a friend or two, then you can definitely split the cost up. I think if you split the cost up, it's going to be somewhat similar to if you were to take a train in. So I think that's great. I think one thing if you're traveling alone is definitely I feel like this is like information I take when I watch Taken. I'm sure a lot of you have watched the movie Taken. Do not ever share a cab with like a foreigner or like a stranger. Just take it on your own, man. Just spend the money and take the taxi on your own, because you never know who this stranger is or like where you're heading to. Especially if you're a girl traveling alone, a lot of the times I would say just spend the money for security and safety reasons, and just, you know, like take it on your own, you know. Don't ever share it with a stranger, even if it's like to cut costs or anything. Don't do that. Another option is if you were to take the RER train B to Paris Center. I believe it costs about like 11 euros, and then if you're traveling with younger ones like between age 4 to 9, then it's slightly cheaper. It's like 8 euros. And if your young ones are like younger than that, I think it's free as well. I've never taken that train from CDG into the city center or from the city center back to CDG, so I wouldn't know and I can't give you information on that. But I'm sure they are safe enough. You just need to be aware of pickpockets, because they do happen on the trains, especially during rush hours or when the trains are crowded. So I didn't want to go through the mind-boggling hassle of that, knowing that it might happen when I'm traveling with all my luggage, because I'm more concentrated on my luggage and trying to get onto the train and all that. I may tend to be a little bit careless or just not super self-aware. So personally, if you're traveling alone, I would say just take the cab lah. Just take the cab into the city. But if you really want to save costs and you're traveling lighter, which nobody does travel light to Paris because you want to shop, so then you just have to be on guard all the time for pickpockets, because it's very apparent. Especially after COVID, I think it has been a little bit more apparent nowadays. So definitely be very careful. I've done many travel claims for people traveling to Europe, especially Paris, with pickpocketing. Like I needed to do a travel claim for pickpocket. So I'm telling you that it does happen. You just have to be really careful. Otherwise, after you have gotten into the city and you have checked into the hotel, in terms of like getting around the city, I am very used to traveling on the metro. You have to be very careful on the metro as well, because, you know, like pickpockets do happen as well. I've never encountered that because I'm just generally very careful when I'm on the metro, because I'm obviously not with my luggage anymore. So I like taking the metro because it's just very easy. I know exactly where I get in and where I get out of, and I don't have to wait around for the Uber to come. So in Paris they still use Uber if you want to. I've used the Uber like once, I think, because I got in really late from London in, because the train got delayed and it was dark. I think the metro system has already stopped. I think I got in about like 1-2 a.m. so I didn't want to risk it. I think I was just tired also, so I decided to take the Uber. I believe each trip on the Uber will cost about like 10 euros and up, depending on where or the distance that you're going to. So you can do that as well. I know of a lot of people who take Ubers in like Paris. If not, I generally take the metro around. I always buy the metro booklet of 10, and this was what I learned from my friend in 2014. He bought the 10 metro booklet. So you have 10 tickets. The great thing about this 10 tickets is that it is per trip. So regardless of where you travel to, you just slot it into the train system, and then you make sure you hold on to it until you get out of the metro system or until you reach your destination. Then you can throw the ticket. I know it's not the most like friendliest, like not like paper friendly, it's like paper thrown everywhere. I always make it a point to throw it into the bin, but I can see like these strips of paper like thrown everywhere. But I think it's helpful, you know, like just make sure you hold on to it, because there are certain checks around and a lot of people try to like break the whole like metro system, because a lot of people don't pay for it. They just jump over the system, which I don't recommend, because you know, you might get caught. So don't ever do that. So just pay for the booklet of 10. Usually when I'm there for like 3 or 4 days, it's always more than enough. Each day I make use of like 3 or maximum 4. So you kind of want to plan your route as well, like to try and take trips using 3 tickets a day, and then you're good. So I think a booklet of 10 is more than enough for like a 3-day trip to Paris. And a booklet of 10 actually costs about like 19 euros, so it's actually quite affordable, which means that each trip is about €1.90. So I think that's awesome, depending on where you go to as well. For those of you who are new here, my name is Amelia and I do videos on luxury and lifestyle. So if you enjoy this kind of videos, do consider subscribing, click on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my future videos. In terms of accommodation for like Paris, if you're traveling alone and like you're solo and you're a female, I would highly suggest you stay in a hotel. First of all, try not to stay in an Airbnb, because there has been a lot of cases where people actually break into the houses. At least when you're staying in a hotel in an area where there's a lot of footfall, you don't have to worry about it so much, because there is definitely a bellman, like a security guard. I mean, it's not really a security guard, but like there's definitely a person at the counter when you enter into the hotel. So that is definitely like a security reason. Like I always make sure that I stay in a secure hotel, and I don't do Airbnbs, I don't do hostels as well. I would definitely spend a little bit more just to be in a secure environment. Generally, these hotels also tend to be near the shopping areas. So if you're shopping, it's great because you can go out and shop. Bring your shopping bags back in the white bag, you know. Don't bring it back in like the LV like or like the Hermes like orange sign. Try to bring it back in the white bag, and then you can drop it off in your hotel. Or you can even get the people from like Hermes or Chanel or whichever to deliver it back to your hotel. I've never actually done that. I know you can do that, but I never actually done that because I have anxiety. I'm a control freak. I need to be in control of everything. So I'll rather hold the items myself, because I don't want a case whereby the package didn't actually arrive back at the hotel, and then I have to go down to the shop again to ask them about it, blah blah. I know it's rare or it doesn't happen. I know quite a lot of people who have their items shipped back to the hotel itself, but I just tend to want to do that myself because like I just feel more secure that way. So I'll bring my shopping bags back, and then I'll drop it in the hotel, and then like I'll go out again. And if I shop, I'll just bring it back and drop it back in the hotel and then go out again. So I always tend to bring like a tote bag as well. So like small items, I don't mind just putting it in the tote bag, and it's just secure, and like I can carry it out on the day itself. But I don't tend to bring my shopping and carry it around, so I don't recommend that, because you are just a target for like pickpockets to just target on you, you know. So in terms of location wise, I've stayed in a few locations, and I would really highly recommend, if you are going there to shop especially, to stay around the Concorde Madeleine area. Why? Because Concorde Madeleine has a lot of train lines like going up from there, so it makes it easier to change trains, and it's also walking distance to the Hermes FSH boutique, so it's very central. Around that area you have a lot of shopping as well. If you want to do like a solo like designer boutique shopping spree, then that area is great for you. Another area that I've stayed in is actually the Alma George V area. So it's also very near the Hermes George V. As you can tell, some of the places that I've stayed at are purposely near an Hermes store because it makes it easier. So near the George V Hermes store, right opposite, there is like a new Goyard store. So when I was there last year in August 2023, I kind of like happened to chance upon this Goyard store, which was only open like 2 weeks prior. So I didn't even know about this store prior. It's just that when I was walking to Hermes, I kind of like noticed it. So I kind of queued up, and I only queued up for like 5 to 10 minutes, and I was in. I managed to buy everything I wanted to buy, and I got out of it very quickly. So that's another area that I would recommend as well, like the Alma, like George V area. There is a very popular steak place there which you need to queue hours for. I'm going to link it down below, but we didn't manage to queue for it because the queue was just massive. It was right outside the hotel, but the queue was massive every single night, so like we didn't end up eating there. So another area that I've stayed near is Saint Lazare, which is near the Haussmann Printemps area, so which is also near Haussmann Gallery Lafayette. Why? Because it is actually, there is a train station there obviously, so when I was traveling out towards the rest of France, that is the station that I needed to get to. So I want to make sure that I'm sort of near and I can like walk to the station as well, so that I don't need to carry my luggage on and off the metro system. Oh, one thing I hate about the metro system is that there is a lot of stairs. So when you're traveling in the metro, you have to carry your luggage up and down these stairs, which is why I would suggest that when you're getting into Paris center to just take a cab as well, because you don't want to be lugging this like luggage everywhere. I had no choice some of the trips because I was traveling from London in and out, so I needed to carry my luggage and move around the stairs. Luckily, I was just like really quick and strong, so you have to be quick and strong if you want to do that. But if you don't want and you want to save the hassle, then just take an Uber or take a taxi, you know. I stayed near Saint Lazare because I just wanted to walk to the train station on the day that I was going to take the train out, so you don't have to worry about carrying your luggage up and down the stairs in the metro as well. Another place is also Gare du Nord. I've never actually stayed near there, but that is the train station that if you're traveling in from London or you want to go up towards London, then that is the train station that you're looking at, which is called Gare du Nord. So when I was traveling alone in 2022, I did like a 2-day trip to London. I'm not sure whether I kind of like regret doing that. I obviously didn't, but because of that I needed to stay one night near Gare du Nord because my train was really early in the morning. So it was a really dingy hotel, but I was just thinking, right, it was just one night, I just needed to stay there one night and I'm out of there, so I did that. And yeah, it was not the best hotel, I would say. I wouldn't recommend it as well for someone who's traveling solo for the very first time, because you're definitely going to feel a little bit unsafe. So just be on your guard at every point in time. I'm going to do another separate video talking about the whole shopping experience I have in Paris, including how you shop there, where the boutiques I go to, where are the boutiques I find like vintage items from, which I think it will be very exciting. And I'm also going to share with you how to shop tax-free there. So I'm going to leave that for another video. If not, this video is going to be like really long, and maybe some of you are just not interested in this topic anyway, so you can just wait for that video. However, when you're traveling alone in Paris, you really need to be very aware of pickpockets. I have personally been pickpocketed when I was there on my solo trip in 2022. It was the very last day before I flew out, so it made things really kind of like a hassle for me, because I think I was out drinking. So on the way back to the hotel, I pit stopped at near the bridge to take a photo of the Eiffel Tower, and somebody pickpocketed my tote bag that I carried on myself, but I had to place it down near my legs for a moment in time just to take a photo because I took my tripod out and all that. I know it sounds really silly, but I've been doing that the entire trip and nothing has happened. It just had to happen on the night before I flew back, so I didn't really know. I was just like in two minds about what to do because I have not packed and I had everything strewn around my hotel room. So I decided to go back to my hotel to pack, and then like I had to make a trip down to the police station to make a police report, and I had to go to like 2 stations, and this was like 4 a.m. in the morning. I didn't even sleep throughout the night because I was done packing from like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. and I just went out to the police station because my taxi was arriving at the hotel at 7 a.m. It was a mad rush, but I managed to get a police report so that I can do a travel claim on that, because like I can't believe I lost my tote bag, okay? Because there were valuables inside that I cannot retrieve back, so you have to be really careful with that. So one rule that I always have for myself is I always try to carry a crossbody bag. When I travel abroad, I always carry my crossbody bag. One good example is my Gucci Soho Disco bag. It is a really useful bag because I think the zip wise is not the easiest zip to get in and out of, and because it's crossbody, it's black, it's a bit inconspicuous, so a lot of people do not target you. You can turn it around and you don't see the Gucci logo at all as well. So I really like that bag for traveling, especially in Europe. I always take that out. I avoid carrying any open totes with like no zip, especially, or bags with crazy logos on it. And I also try not to carry backpacks in like Europe, especially because you don't know what's happening behind you, you know. So try to carry a crossbody bag. I always have a crossbody bag, and then I have a tote bag with a few tote bags inside if I want to do shopping. So those like, you know, expendable tote bags as well. So yes, some other things that I learned from my French friend because I went to visit her in Normandy. One great tip I will give you before going to Paris is to learn a little bit of French. At least how to say bonjour and bonsoir, because like I think that's just like basic manners. I would say that I've traveled quite a bit, and I think that it is only polite as like a cultured traveler, or as like someone visiting another country where there's a different culture. The basic manners you can have is just to learn a little bit of their language, you know, at least how to say hello, how to say thank you, how to say goodbye. I feel like this is just like common courtesy. You can't expect to go to a country where people only speak like Spanish and you just like not speak Spanish. And nowadays with like Google Translate and all that, I just think that it is so easy to learn, or you can just do Google Translate if you're really not comfortable with it, and just like at least let them know. But I would say that if you compare Paris from 2014 to like 2022 or even 2023, their English standard has definitely improved. Like a lot more people can speak in like English right now. But honestly, even in 2014, I also try to learn a little bit of French, because a lot of people really just like do not want to speak and converse with you. The moment you open your mouth and speak in English, they do not even want to entertain you at all. So I feel like the best way to go about this is really just to greet them, you know, like in morning you greet them bonjour, in the evening you greet them bonsoir, and then you kind of like say like, you know, like bonjour, parlez-vous anglais, which also means that do you speak English? And then I feel like even with that, they tend to be a little bit more welcoming to you. Right now, I feel like based on 2022 and 2023 when I went, I feel like they are a little bit more comfortable with English. Like they don't mind it. They know that people do speak a lot more English nowadays. But yeah, the French people are very proud of their French, so you have to kind of learn and be like assimilated into their culture to a certain extent, so that they can be more courteous and welcoming of you, you know. So I think that's one great tip that I have. Try to learn a little bit of French. Another thing that I learned from my French friend, because I stayed with her in Normandy, is to never raise your hand at a waiter, okay? Like, because the French likes to take things slow. They love to take their time. They are not like Asians or Singaporeans where things are like, you know, like efficient, like snap. I want this, give me this now, blah blah blah. So never raise your hand at a waiter if you don't want spit in your food, okay? So that is definitely a good rule. And then you ask me, so how am I supposed to get their attention? You just need to wait until your eyes meet their eyes, and you kind of like, so learn the art of gesturing as well with your eyes, not with your hands. So I always tend to just like make sure I stare at them until they get my attention, and they will come to you. They will come to you. Whether it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, they will come to you. But never ever raise your hand at a waiter because they do not like that apparently. You just need to make sure you get their attention. I guess this also has to do with their culture, because whenever they are sitting down to drink a cup of coffee or whenever they're sitting down for a meal, the whole point is not to like make it a rush thing, you know. Like if you've watched Emily in Paris, you will know that people just like to take things slow, okay? Like take it chill. I don't know why you're just like working so hard and working like your ass off. Just take it chill. So you need to have that chill mentality when you're traveling as well, which also means that you need to plan your itinerary accordingly. Try not to stuff so much things together because it's not going to happen. So take it chill and easy and like have a slow lunch. They want you to converse with whoever you're sitting with for a meal, or just like take in the sights, which is why all your cafes in Paris are like faced towards the street, because they want you to like look and like soak in the atmosphere, the chill atmosphere in Paris. So you just need to be in that culture, you know, like take things slow. I think it's actually a very good thing for people coming from Singapore, especially where, you know, things are like so fast-paced. It's always really nice to just go to a country where it's not as fast-paced and just like take it slow, you know, like breathe in the fresh air. I don't know if you can consider the air in Paris to be fresh, because like, oh my god, sometimes the metro does stink quite a bit, but you know, like you get what I mean, you know. So for all the hotel rooms that I go to, I also always make sure I latch the door. If you have seen some YouTube videos, they even go one step further and use like a, you know, like a hook to like hook the door in and like make sure that it doesn't like come off, because there are some tricks to like unlatch the door as well. But I always make sure to lock myself, to lock the door at night, latch the door, do whatever I can to make sure that the place is safe. Especially if you have a balcony, make sure you lock the balcony as well, because people can climb up in the balcony, you never know. So always do that as well. And yeah, personally, whenever I'm in Paris, I also do not make the room. I don't make the room at all, because I'm only there for like 3 days, so I don't feel like there is a need to make the room. Also because I have my things thrown everywhere, so, and some of these are like valuables because I go shopping over there, so I don't want to pack everything in every single day. So I just put the do not disturb sign on the door, and I just never ever like make up the room, which is fine with me. I know some people have to make up their rooms every day, but I don't have to, so that's something that I do as well. So I think this video has been more than rambly. I hope I've given you some tips and tricks and insights as to how I travel to Paris alone. I know a lot of people do ask me about how I take my photos alone as well, but maybe I can just leave that for another video. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would love it if you subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!